I'd like to thank you for having us today, and I am here with the people who I have learned to become and call my friends. Because when you're doing God's work, he said, I will no longer call you servants, but I'm going to call you my friends because you do and you know the work of the Father. I want to give a thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and also like to thank my personal friend who just introduced me, Mr. Wayne King. I have been with the Reentry program since it started, but we're going to give you a little bit of the past, and then you'll hear about the present. I was incarcerated in the year 2001. Montgomery County, it was basically no reentry. When you come home, somebody gave you a hand, you had relatives or friends, and that was how you got back into the community. But I was blessed enough to have a chaplain or a county jail chaplain, or should I say someone who's in the chaplain ministry, which was Wayne King, come to see me in my 2 years in the Montgomery County Jail. And as I look back on my life, that was the biggest part of my reentry. And when Wayne came, at first, you see people come in and out. Like I said, I was in the county jail for 2 years. And he came and introduced himself, and we began to talk about the Word. And that was mostly all we talked about. He didn't ask why I was in here, what I did. He didn't harp on none of that. That was different. And when you see, I never knew him before then, but I had seen him talking to another person who was in the county jail. And you know how sometimes the Spirit will just keep you going back, wanting more, looking. So I kept looking, and the guy kept coming back in the cell, and he was talking about what he had experienced. And he was able to talk about the Word. So I said, I want some of that. So I said, ask him, will he see me? And that's when our relationship began. One thing I can say about Wayne, what made a big difference in my life, is that he was persistent. You see some guys come in and they tell you about, oh yeah, this is what you need, this is what we'll do, and here's my number, call me. That wasn't Wayne. Wayne would come in at 10 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the evening, and I've had a visit from Wayne as late as 9 p.m. in the evening. Now, I begin to wonder, who is this man? Who sent him? And I know that no one could do these things unless God be with him. That's right. And when he came, he always had a word. And we broke the scriptures up. And later on, I found Wayne was a teacher. And now I wonder, I said, okay, now I see why. Because we studied the word. And it did me. It did. That's why I'm here today. I was in this church, I think it was April the 10th, 2004. I got out in 2003. I spoke here. Wayne invited me here to speak, my first speaking engagement. And that was the beginning. And I'm still doing the work. Wayne, he's a one credit. He's so laid back, but if it had not been for the Lord, we say, where would I be? But I know the Lord sent Wayne King, because what Wayne King brought, it was something that I needed at that time. And that's why I say we'll talk about the past and we'll get into the present. Back then, you were called, when you came home, they called you ex-convict. That name is no longer with people who come home today in Montgomery County. They are called returning citizens. And that's a big change. And change has come, and we accept it. I'd like to tell you a little bit something about the Reentry program. It says, write the vision and make it plain. This started about way before, but this is when it came together. In 2005, as a result of the vision, of Commissioner Debbie Lieberman and the Honorable Judge Walter Rice, reentry initiatives in Montgomery County began. In 2008, a reentry task force was established and work group began breaking down focus areas specific to reentry needs. You know, when you've been incarcerated and you've been somewhere, when you return, it's a different world. The world was moving at a slower pace back in that day. Now it's moving, it's an accelerated pace. So the Reentry Task Force developed 17 recommendations centered on reducing recidivism. That's returning. You know, if a person can come out one time, wouldn't that be great? Now me, I'll just talk about me. I don't want to talk about nobody else. I took me 3 times. But 3 is not a bad number, because in 3 days Jesus rose and said he all power in his hand. So I started beginning to know about the 3s by the word, and guess what? 3 wasn't a bad number. One of the recommendations that was established was a reentry policy board. It was established in 2010. Grant funds were secured in order to open the Office of Reentry. As you notice, it's not ex-offender, it's not ex-con, it's reentry. The Office of Reentry is originally named the Montgomery County Office of Ex-Offender Reentry. And through the ability to exceed grants expectations, became a fully funded Montgomery County department, becoming the first department to do so. The Office of Reentry, we dropped ex-offender from its name several years ago and continue today, serving Montgomery County citizens with a desire to change their lives as a result of the criminal justice involvement. The Reentry Policy Board currently operates as the Reentry Council. The Reentry Council is co-chaired, again, by Commissioner Lieberman and Judge Rice, as well as co-chairs of our 6 subcommittees. I am on one of those subcommittees. It includes community and family engagement, housing, employment, and public education. We want everybody in Montgomery County to know about this. It's important, because just one can tell another, and can tell another. And before you know it, everybody's going to know about this program in Montgomery County. It says, and women in reentry. The Office of Reentry continues to exceed expectations through programming, specifically the Montgomery County Reentry Career Alliance Academy. Montgomery County continues to advance from, among other counties, through Ohio in its commitment and services to reentry. I have with me today some of my fellow friends. I have Ms. Jamie G. Jamie G has served as the managing officer of the Montgomery County Reentry since 2010. Has over 33 years of experience in corrections, parole, community reentry, service areas. She began her career in corrections in 1989 at Warren Correctional Institution. She is a dedicated pioneer with multifaceted criminal justice leadership, management expertise, and possesses her undergraduate degree in criminal justice from Wilmington College, MBA from the University of Phoenix. She is the executive member of the Ohio Association of Local Reentry Coalitions and has served various advisory boards, including the Greater Dayton Lawyer Project, Dayton Meditation Center, Bold Believers Community Involvement, and the National Alliance on Mental Health Illness of Montgomery County. Jamie is an expert in leveraging partnerships and is committed to addressing the holistic needs of returning and restored citizens through effective resources, optimization, coordination, network, and advocacy. We also have today with us Ms. January Newport. And Jamie G, could you just stand up for a minute? In case she does not, you still stand to hear from her. We want to see you. This is the lady. I've worked with her since 2010. It's tireless work. And guess what? We know that she's going to deliver. January Newport is here with us today. She currently serves as the Reentry Program Coordinator and joined Montgomery County Office of Reentry in January of 2022. A public servant. Her initial interests involved substance abuse in the counseling field. She graduated from Sinclair Community and Wright State University. She is seeking an undergraduate degree. She is a licensed chemical dependency counselor and an agent for change, She has actively been involved in promoting reentry awareness and prison advocacy surrounding continued education. She provided testimonial support and second chance Pell Grants on behalf of the Sinclair College Advanced Training Program at the federal level. And she is a speaker on reentry on behalf of the reentry team. And then we have, as I said, I've talked about the past. We have a person here who can tell you about the present. I talked about when, if it had not been for Wayne King, where would I be? But now there's a whole program. If it wouldn't if it had not been, it is available now for people. And what would this be without a testimony? A testimony makes it evidence-based. You've seen it, this works. Mr. James battle-tested Clay. An honorable discharged United States Marine. James graduated from Montgomery County Office of Reentry Career Alliance in Dayton, Ohio as a leader and graduation speaker. He is a proud.
My name is Newport, and I am a representative of the Office of Reentry in Montgomery County. At Montgomery County Office of Reentry, we provide programs and services to men and women who are returning to Montgomery County from incarceration. We work with a variety of, my boss is here now, so the pressure is on. And I like to take notes of what I'm talking about because I have high anxiety, so it helps me to stay on track. So at the office, we work with a variety of community stakeholders who volunteer their time and knowledge to invest in our returning citizens in Montgomery County. Our mission at the Office of Reentry is to promote programs, services, and partnerships that minimize barriers to successful reentry and promote a reduction in recidivism and enhance public safety. The reason reentry matters is because of people like myself, James Clay, Carolyn White, and my colleagues at the Office of Reentry and the participants that we serve. With reentry, James, myself, and Carolyn, and just James, myself, and Carolyn, have been able to establish a foundation at a much more progressive rate than my colleagues who re-entered the community over 30 years ago. I am a Sinclair Community College graduate. My education began within prison. The education that I received and completed upon my release has granted me the affordability to become a licensed chemical dependency counselor for the state of Ohio. I am a Bachelor of Social Work student, and I am an employee of Montgomery County as a reentry program coordinator. Our signature program is our Reentry Career Alliance Academy. We have an 11-day workshops we have an 11-day program of 29 workshops spread out over the course of 3.5 weeks with a formal graduation to conclude their accomplishment. We work with participants on a wide range of programming from job readiness skills to resume building to employment linkage, sprinkled with cognitive behavioral therapy and wraparound case management services. At the end of their conclusion of programming, they also have a $250 move-in assistance entitlement to help them gain housing. We have a AAA philosophy, action, alliance, and accountability, and provide a lifelong services, support, and advocacy to our participants as they desire and continue to come back, as James Clay does 5 years later. Our success rate is 91%, so we have about 9% at this time of our participants who do return to incarceration. As Mr. Arvin Ridley had attested to recidivism is real, and as he has 3 times incarcerated, I do as well. And with reentry, that helps to gain grounding and footing so that way we can reduce the amount of time that people are returning to incarceration. And I will say that that number climbed during COVID, is that correct? As we know, that was a trying time for everybody in the community, and our recidivism rate was lower before then. The national average is about 32% of people that return to incarceration, according to Google. So that speaks volumes to say that we are doing our best to enhance the public safety in Montgomery County, and the other counties that we will be expanding to. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
And with that being said, I believe I will turn it over to James Clay.
All right.
Is that?
Well, good afternoon. What a wonderful looking congregation. Thank you for inviting us here today to be a part of an educational experience. As January mentioned, as the manager of the Office of Reentry, a lot of what we do every day is helping individuals transform obstacles into opportunities. And through the Reentry Career Alliance Academy that we created, which is pretty much 2015, we knew we were on to something when we had identified several years prior what worked for individuals that were transitioning from prison to the community. We knew it was our responsibility as public servants to build that bridge for individuals transitioning from prison to community. And at that time, when I started my career, I had no idea that I would be working in a prison at age 22 years old. I was growing up, I said, I want to work with money. I want to be a bank teller. That's all I wanted to be. But God had it.
Amen.
He saw something else for me. And that's where I started my career at the Warren Correctional Institution. And since then, I haven't looked back when it comes to helping those help themselves. I have seen several, being at an institution with over 1,200 adult males, working in various capacities, starting in food service, working through the administrative capacity, being a case manager, being a drug counselor, a unit manager, supervisor of over a unit of 500 adult males. I wanted to be on the hopeful side of the fence. And so I took a leap of faith and I applied for a job to work for the Adult Parole Authority in the Cincinnati region. And I was granted that position. It was specifically to help individuals re-enter into the community. Each and every step, now that I look back at each and everything that I've done since working at the Warren Correctional Institution, God has prepared me for the next step to help someone in an elevated capacity. So I appreciate, again, the invitation to be standing before you today. During that time, I didn't know I was working my way into this job. Have you ever been in a place, in a job and you thought, I don't know where I'm going to be headed with this? When I was working with the Adult Parole Authority, I had the opportunity to be a part of the Montgomery County Reentry Task Force. And that was led by Commissioner Debbie Lieberman and Judge Walter H. Rice. Back in 2008, I was working on a subcommittee team, not realizing someone was watching me, that someone was looking and paying attention to the compassion, the stick-to-itness, the hope, the hopefulness, my conversation, my voice, and my voice for others. And it was at that time, 2 years later, I stepped foot into this position. Wow. Amazing. It's not amazing Yeah, right.
Amen.
And so I stand before you today just to let you know how grateful I am, not only as a public servant and manager of the Montgomery County Office of Reentry, but I'm grateful for those, not only January that's come here, Arvin, who's a part of the council, James, who's about to step foot up here and really share with you his heart. I wanted you to know that our office has a heart for this business. We are compassionate about what we do. And we invite you to come in and stay and visit for a while. Come to the job center, come to our Reentry training center. If you have any questions, we have a volunteer coordinator that specifically can connect with you, welcome you in, let you sit down, observe, and identify what it is, how you can be of service. And I think that's one step and a good step in the means of really investing in people. Montgomery County, our motto is investing in people, and that's what we do. So thank you for the opportunity. They didn't expect me to get up, but I did, and I wanted to, and I felt it was a great opportunity. So without further ado, James Clay.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. I'm excited. I'm always excited to have the passion to talk about my life. But the best part about it I'm talking about today is my experience with the Montgomery County Office of Reentry. Like I said, you've heard all the facts, you've heard all how it works, but I'm an example. I'm a byproduct of the hard work and the thing that they plan and prepare. You said this goes all the way back to 2005. I didn't enter prison until 2008. So it wasn't really about me, but it is about me. It's the same way when you go out and you talk about Jesus and you never know what seed you plant into somebody's life. So towards the end of my time in incarceration, and I did 9 years, my case manager, what Miss G used to do, had an opportunity. She called me to her office. She said, you got 6 months to go. I need to show you a video. So she showed me a promotional video of the Reentry office. And then right then and there, she asked me, did I want to see it? I had to do what? Make a choice. Most guys are like, nah, I don't want to do that. I just want to go home. So I sat down, took 5 minutes, watched a 5-minute video that gave me an opportunity. The second thing, she said, do you want that information so you can contact him when I get out? And I said, with another choice, yes. There again, I could have said no, and my life could have went in a complete different direction, and I would be standing here. So as soon as I got home, the first 72 hours is crucial for anybody that you should know, that when they get out of prison, the first 72 hours is either going to make you or break you, depending on what the choices you make. So on my list, on my 72-hour list, it was to call the Montgomery County Office of Reentry. I talked to them, and I went in and checked it out. It was in May, where I could sign up for the class. And the classes are 3 days a week for an entire month, from like 9 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I had some other personal things I would deal with, and I told them I'll be back. How many people actually tell you they don't come back and they don't come back? Which my choice was I went back. And so by going back, I graduated in June 2017 from the Montgomery County Career Alliance Academy, and I had an opportunity to be the speaker at that graduation. Lo and behold, did I not know that me opening my mouth and saying what this meant to me led to multiple opportunities after that. And I want to say this about the Reentry. It's not just a program. Programs have beginning and endings. Once you graduate, you're always allowed to go back to talk to the case manager, always allowed to go back and hang out. Now, I can go in the office at any given time when they're open and grab me some donuts and a coffee and sit in the back of the classroom, or get even an opportunity to talk to the class members. But let me tell you some of the things that they allowed me to volunteer to do. There's so many of them I had to write them down. And this is all the stuff I've probably done in the last 5 years. I had an opportunity to be a model for a program called Closed at Work. Closed at Work is a program that works with the career landscape. They give you a suit, tie, dress, or whatever to help you get ready for your job interview. But they also have a fundraising luncheon that you get to go up, and I got a chance to walk across the stage and, to show my socks and my shoes. And why would I do that? Because I want other returning citizens to know, and I want you to know that the clothes that you can donate, the clothes that work in Dayton, will go to someone like me who don't have clothes to go to work. They don't have students' tie. I had an opportunity to do that in 2017, 2018, 2019, and this year, 2021, and I just did it again. I had an opportunity to be the keynote speaker at a fatherhood initiative banquet that they have for men who are being incarcerated, to let men know that even though you've been incarcerated, you still can be a father. And even after you get out of prison, you can be a father. I had an opportunity to speak at, you probably remember this, the Reentry Day at the University of Dayton, where I got a chance to stand on the same podium with the director of prisons at that time. I was a little shaking in my boots, but to be an inmate, to be able to stand on the same stage with the man who runs all of the prisons in Ohio, what a blessing. And that was through the Reentry office. They gave me an opportunity to be a panel for the fatherhood, fathers from prison, with other men who have been in prison incarcerated, and to let other men know, just because you are incarcerated doesn't mean you can't be a father. I got an opportunity to speak to the Dayton Rotary Club. I got an opportunity to speak for the HEAL Symposium. I had an opportunity to speak to the University of Dayton Allsher Lifelong Learning Institute for elderly people who wanted to continue their career. And why me? Because I let you know how many obstacles that you can overcome, which is what battle tested me. That no matter what you go through, it's about living and learning. I had an opportunity to be on the University of Dayton panel legacy for the UD students at their project, and I did a documentary with Journey to Home from prison with UD and the Montgomery County Office of Reentry. And I still get to go in and talk. I get to tell you my story. And so they planted a seed in me. They provided a platform for me to start my own tree. My own tree was I have a letter writing program called Hope Letters. Because whatever pain that I saw in prison, I wanted to come home and one, create a community. Two, I needed to change the narrative of what people that don't go to prison think about us. Everyone that goes to prison is not a monster. And most people that went to prison made a mistake. And what you really need to know that 90% of us are coming home. And we need a community of people to surround themselves about us. How many of y'all know the story about the leper in the Bible where Jesus healed 10 lepers? How many of them actually came back to say thank you? One. But Jesus told them you have to go to the priest, which represents the church, and the church proclaims you clean. It is you who tells the community that we're okay to be in the community. It's up to you to let us know. And if you don't know what we're doing or what's being experienced, how are you ever going to say, here's how you can get help? And I don't want you to raise your hand, but you can if you want to. How many of you know somebody that's in prison? Or know somebody that's went to prison? Or have a family member of someone who's went to prison? And most of the time they've made a mistake. It's because of mental health issues, it's because of childhood trauma, and it's because of lack of opportunity and resources. You are the bridge to help men and women just like me, just like January, just like Carolyn, and a bunch of other people we have that can help make a difference. So I started this letter writing program because there's men and women in prison who don't get mail anymore. Their families, their churches, and their friends have given up on them, maybe because of multiple mistakes. A lot of people don't care about the mistakes or why you did it. They just know that you did it. Well, I'm done with you. So I started a letter writing program called Hope Letters. That's so men and women, just like you can write letters to people that can get mail that don't get mail, so they can have hope because they're coming home. Second thing I did was started a Battle Tested Bags project. That bag provides 3 sets of clothes, socks, shoes, underwear, hygiene kit, all of these things that men and women need when they get home. And today, which is beautiful, before I get to that, then I started my own business. It's a nonprofit organization, not only give back, but we provide a community, wellness checks, and training for men and women just like me when they get out of prison. Now, where did all of that come from? The support from the Montgomery County Office of Reentry. What if they didn't do that for me? What if they didn't have that meeting in 2005? What if they didn't have that panel in 2010? We are the gap for men and women coming out of prison to help create a safe place for all of us. The fear goes away when we understand what's going I'm asking you that if you know someone in this county that is struggling after prison, and they didn't have to just get out, they could have been out 10 years, 5 years, and it doesn't matter their crime, it doesn't matter what they've done, there's someone down in Dayton at the Montgomery County Job Center that will help them, just like they helped me. We're asking you, and there are folders that January has with information in them that we would like to pass out to you so that you can look further. Please, even if it's one person, I am that one person that can change the lives of a bunch of other people. You are that one person. So I'm going to finish with this. They call me battle tested because we go through life's challenges. All of us do. Everyone doesn't go to prison, but it may be poverty, it may be educational problems, it may be health problems, it may be depression, it may be mental illness, it may be handicap. But the battle test that you're going through is not about winning or losing, but did you learn and did you grow from that battle that you went through? We always want to returning citizens. So we go from being a returned citizen to a restored citizen. And what is a restored citizen? Now that I've returned and the Montgomery County Office of Reentry has helped me, I'm a restored citizen, so now that I can help someone else. So please, I beseech you, my brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service, and practice Matthew 25. When you see someone who has been in prison, see about them. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.